May 24th, 1945. 10,000 feet above the black expanse of the East China Sea. Inside the cockpit of the P-61 Black Widow, the world is reduced to the faint green glow of the instrument panel. It's a cramped metal womb, humming with the contained power of two massive Pratt & Whitney engines. The air smells of oil, ozone, and stale coffee. Outside, there is nothing. No moon, no horizon, just an endless void where the sea and sky meet without a seam. For First Lieutenant Hermann Ernst, his hands resting lightly on the control yoke, this is the lonely reality of the night fighter pilot. The mission is a dull, circling patrol off the coast of Okinawa, a monotonous dance with boredom while the war rages below. He and his crew are the unseen sentinels, the watchmen on a wall of darkness. Behind him, in a separate, darkened compartment, sits First Lieutenant Edward Kopsel. His world is even smaller. He isn't looking out at the stars. His eyes are fixed on the circular screen of his SCR-720 airborne radar set. He is a new kind of warrior, one who hunts not with his eyes, but with pulses of invisible energy. On his screen, the faint sweep of the cathode ray traces a circle, painting a picture of the empty night. For hours, it has shown nothing but the ghostly echoes of ocean waves, meaningless static he calls sea return. The drone of the engines, the gentle vibration of the airframe, it's a lullaby that could easily pull a man into a state of drowsy inattention. But Kopsel remains sharp. His job is to see the unseeable. Their aircraft, serial number 423940, is known as Lady in the Dark. It is a monster, the largest and heaviest American fighter of the war. Its twin-boom design gives it a sinister, predatory silhouette. But its most terrifying feature is its skin. It's coated in a layer of glossy black paint, an experiment in nighttime camouflage. Unlike matte black, which can appear as a gray shape against the stars, the gloss reflects the absolute blackness of the night sky, rendering the 15-ton aircraft virtually invisible. It doesn't just hide in the dark, it becomes the dark. Add to this the specialized engine cowlings and exhaust dampers designed to swallow the betraying flash of engine flames, and you have a machine built for murder in the dark. A true ghost. Miles away on a parallel course, the crew of a Mitsubishi G4M bomber feels a very different emotion: confidence. For them, the blackness is a shield, a welcome cloak provided by the new moon. They are part of a massive nocturnal raid, one wave in the Kiksui No. 6 attack aimed at the American forces overwhelming Okinawa. Their target is Yantan Airfield, a sprawling hub of American air power. The pilot, settled in for the long flight, knows that American fighters own the day. But the night belongs to the Empire. They fly with a quiet assurance, believing themselves to be utterly alone, invisible specks in an infinite black ocean. Their only concern is the anti-aircraft fire they expect over the target. The thought of an American fighter finding them up here, in this perfect darkness, is not a thought at all. It is an impossibility. Back in Lady in the Dark, Kopsel leans closer to his scope. His body tenses. Among the random noise of sea return, something has appeared. It's faint, indistinct, a tiny, fleeting blip at the edge of his screen's range. It could be a glitch, it could be a phantom echo, but it appears again on the next sweep. And again. It's steady. It's moving. His voice, calm but sharp, cuts through the low drone in Ernst's headset. "Herm, I have a bogey, bearing 030, range about 9 miles. Herman Ernst's posture changes instantly. The boredom vanishes, replaced by a surge of focused adrenaline. His left hand moves to the throttle quadrant. 9 miles. The target is inbound, heading towards Okinawa. It's on the perfect intercept course. He doesn't need to ask if Kopsel is sure. He knows his RO. If Ed says it's there, it's there. Okay, Ed, I'm turning. Ernst banks the heavy fighter, the force pressing him into his seat. The nose of the Black Widow swings around, aligning with the unseen enemy. He pushes the throttles forward. The quiet rumble of the twin double wasp engines deepens into a powerful guttural roar. The ghost is awake. The hunt has begun. The game is now a lethal exercise in geometry and trust. Hermann Ernst can see nothing. He is flying blind in a universe of black, guided only by the voice in his ears. Edward Kopsel has become his eyes, his world shrinking to the glowing green circle of the radar scope. The fate of everyone on both planes now rests on his ability to interpret the faint pulses of light dancing on his screen. The blip is stronger now, more defined. It's a single aircraft holding a steady course and altitude, a bomber. Steady on this heading, Herm, Kopsel's voice directs, a steady metronome against the rising tension. He's at our 11 o'clock, range 6 miles, we're gaining. Ernst keeps the controls steady, making minute adjustments. He knows the profile of their prey, the Mitsubishi G4M, codenamed Betty by the Allies. A long, cigar-shaped fuselage, wide wings, notoriously prone to catching fire. A good bomber, but fragile, a flying tinderbox. He also knows it's armed with tail guns, and a single lucky shot could change everything. The key is to remain unseen, unheard. To become the phantom the Japanese crews whispered about but never truly believed in. This is where the P-61's design comes into its own. It's not just an aircraft, it's a system, a platform for bringing its radar and its guns to bear on an unsuspecting target. As they close the distance, Ernst is careful with his throttles, keeping the engine noise from traveling forward. The specially designed exhaust dampers are doing their job, trapping the bright blue flames that would normally spurt from the engines, rendering them invisible from behind and below. To the Japanese crew, the sky behind them is as empty as it was an hour ago. They drone on, secure in their cloak of darkness, while death itself accelerates silently toward their tail. Range 3 miles, Kopsel reports. Start a shallow climb. I want to come up underneath him. Ernst eases back on the yoke. The Black Widow responds gracefully for its size, ascending like a silent leviathan from the deep. The tactic is classic night fighter doctrine. Attack from the low rear quarter, the target's biggest blind spot. The bomber's silhouette will be clearest against the faint light of the starfield above, while the P-61 remains lost in the absolute blackness of the ocean below. It's the perfect ambush. 2 miles, he's dead ahead, you should have a visual soon. Ernst's eyes, now fully adjusted to the dark, strain to pierce the void. He scans the star patterns, looking for a disruption, a blacker shape against the black. Nothing. He is flying entirely on faith, on the skill of the man in the compartment behind him. It's an intimate, terrifying partnership. A pilot and his radar operator become one entity in the hunt, their senses linked by a copper wire and a shared purpose. 1 mile, he's right there, Herm, right in front of you. And then he sees it. At first, it's just a smudge, a barely perceptible flaw in the tapestry of stars. But as they close, it resolves into a definite shape. The long, elegant wingspan, the twin tail fins, a Betty, just as Kopsel promised. It's flying straight and level, a perfect target, completely oblivious. Ernst can feel his heart hammering against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the otherwise calm cockpit. I have a visual, he says, his voice low. Tally-ho. He makes the final adjustments, his movements fluid and economical. The Black Widow settles in, 500 feet behind and slightly below the bomber. He is now well within range. His right thumb finds the trigger on the control stick. Below him, in the belly of the aircraft, 4 20mm Hispano cannons are charged and ready. Unlike machine guns, which fire solid slugs, these cannons fire high explosive incendiary shells, each one a miniature grenade designed to tear through an airframe and ignite whatever it touches. The Betty drones on, a sacrificial lamb. Inside, its crew is likely thinking of the target ahead, of home, of the morning. They have no idea that their future has already been decided, that their final moments are being counted down by a man they cannot see in a plane they do not know exist. Ernst centers the dark shape in his gun sight. He takes a breath, holds it, and gently squeezes the trigger. For a split second, nothing happens. Then the night shatters.
Japanese gunner's desperate blind firing is a gesture of pure fear. He hasn't seen the P-61. He has simply seen a comrade's aircraft vanish in a silent, inexplicable fireball, and his training tells him to shoot at the darkness. His tracers stitch a frantic, useless pattern across the sky, aimed at Nanimo, finding Nanimo. For Herman Ernesto, sitting less than 600 feet away, the display is little more than a brief distraction. It's too little, far too late. The gunner isn't shooting at him, he's shooting at a ghost story. Ernesto doesn't hesitate. His thumb depresses the trigger. Again, the black whistle convulses as its 4 cannons erupt. The result is just as swift, just as final. The stream of 20mm shells walks up the Betty's fuselage and into the wing root. This time, the explosion is even more violent. The bomber seems to disintegrate in midair, a percussive flash of white-hot magnesium followed by a shower of burning debris. The second kill is confirmed. 2 bombers with perhaps 14 men aboard have been swatted from the sky in less than 15 minutes. Now, you must imagine the perspective of the 3rd bomber crew flying a few miles behind. They have just witnessed 2 aircraft ahead of them explode for no reason. The night, once a comforting shield, has become a place of terror. Their radio, which should be alive with warnings, is silent. There are no frantic calls of bandits or fighters because the victims never see their attacker. There is only the sudden, horrifying bloom of an explosion, followed by an unnerving quiet. Panic begins to set in. The pilot starts a gentle, weaving S pattern, a futile attempt to dodge an enemy he cannot locate. He tells his gunners to scan the sky, but they are looking for a familiar shape, for the telltale glint of a canopy or the flash of an engine exhaust. They are looking for a conventional fighter. They have no concept of the predator that is stalking them. In the cockpit of Lady in the Dark, there is no celebration. There is only the next step in the process. Kopsel, hunched over his scope, has already acquired the 3rd target. The bomber's evasive maneuvers make the blip on his screen dance, but the SCR-90 radar is relentless. It sees the aircraft no matter how it turns. Got the 3rd one, Helm, Kopsel reports. His voice a low, steady current. He is jinking, taking evasive action, looks like he's spooked. Let's cruise on him, Ernesto replies, his focus absolute. This intercept is more challenging. It's a chase, not just a simple stalk. Ernesto has to anticipate the weaving of the terrified Japanese pilot, cutting across angles, gaining ground with bursts of speed. The P-61, for all its size, is surprisingly agile. Its powerful engines give it the performance needed to overhaul the lumbering bomber. Slowly, methodically, they close the gap. It takes longer this time, the minutes stretching out as they play this deadly game of cat and mouse in the pitch-black arena of the night sky. Finally, they are there again, tucked in behind the 3rd Betty. The pilot is still weaving, but his turns are predictable. Ernesto waits for the bomber to level out for a moment at the apex of a turn, presenting a stable target. The dark shape fills his gun sight. He can see the exhaust flickering from the bomber's engines. He can almost feel the fear in that distant cockpit. He fires. The 3rd explosion is a brutal, violent punctuation mark. A 3rd fireball erupts, painting the clouds below in shades of orange and red. 3 bombers down. The night over the East China Sea has become a slaughterhouse. For any other Japanese crews in the area, the effect is profound. They are convinced they have flown into an entire squadron of American night fighters. They imagine the sky is swarming with them, a carefully laid trap. The idea that this level of destruction could be the work of a single, unseen aircraft is beyond comprehension. It has to be a coordinated ambush. The psychological impact is devastating. The night is no longer safe. It is haunted. In the Black Widow, the cycle is ready to begin again. Ernest pulls away from the burning remains of the third kill. The cockpit is thick with the smell of gunpowder. The barrels of the 20mm cannons are hot. He looks at his fuel gauge. It's still good. He checks his ammunition counter. He has plenty left. The night's work is not yet done. Copsel's voice comes over the intercom, and this time it carries a new edge of excitement, the thrill of unprecedented hunt. Helm, I've got the fourth. He's braking hard. He's diving for the deck. I think this one knows we are here. He's running for his life.
The fourth Mitsubishi Betty bomber is in a full-blown panic. The pilot has seen 3 of his comrades obliterated in fiery explosions, each one a silent, terrifying spectacle. He doesn't know what is hunting them, but he knows it is systematic, relentless, and invisible. His survival instinct has taken over. He shoves his control column forward, sending the bomber into a steep, desperate dive, hoping to lose the Phantom in the low-altitude haze or escape whatever new form of radar-guided flak he imagines is reaching up for him. He is no longer on a bombing run. He is prey, fleeing a predator he cannot comprehend. This is the ultimate test for the crew of Lady in the Dark. Hunting a steady, unaware target is one thing. Chasing a panicked, diving enemy in total darkness is another entirely. The Black Widow, a heavy aircraft, protests as Hermann Ernst forces it into a steep dive to match the Betty. The engines scream, the wind shrieks over the canopy, and the G-forces press him deep into his seat. Down they plunge, through 8,000 feet, then 6,000. This is no longer a detached, clinical execution. It is a duel. Edward Copsell is working frantically in his compartment. As they dive, the radar screen fills with sea return, the clutter from the ocean waves below threatening to swallow the faint blip of the fleeing bomber. He has to filter it out, manually adjusting the gain and sensitivity of his set, his hands flying across the controls. His voice is a constant stream of corrections in Ernst's ear. He's pulling left, hard left, drop your port wing, range 2,000 feet. He's leveling out at 4,000. Match him, Herm, match him. Ernst responds instantly to every command, his body and the aircraft acting as one. He is flying on instruments and instinct, guided by the electronic eyes of his radar operator. The bomber is a shadow, flitting in and out of view, a ghost against the dark, churning sea. The Japanese pilot is throwing his aircraft around, making wild, unpredictable turns. But the P-61 is faster and more powerful. Inch by inch, foot by foot, they close the distance. This is the culmination of hundreds of hours of training, a symphony of man and machine working in perfect, lethal harmony. They get their chance when the Betty pilot, exhausted and disoriented, makes a fatal mistake. He pulls into a climbing right-hand turn, bleeding off speed and presenting a larger target profile. It's the opening Ernst needs. "Got him!" Ernst yells into the intercom. He pulls the Black Widow's nose up, leading the target just slightly. It's not a clean, straight shot like the others. It's a deflection shot, a difficult feat even in broad daylight. In this darkness, it is a feat of pure, calculated skill. He fires a final, disciplined burst from the 20mm cannons. The shells arc through the night and find their mark. For a moment, it looks like he missed. Then a trail of white smoke begins to pour from the bomber's left engine. It quickly turns black, followed by a lick of flame. The fire spreads with terrifying speed along the wing. The Betty falters, its turn tightening into a death spiral. It rolls onto its back and plunges, out of control, into the sea.
There is no massive fireball this time, just a final, brilliant flash as it hits the water, and then silence. 4 bombers, 4 kills. From the first radar contact to the final splash, approximately 85 minutes have passed. A single American aircraft has single-handedly broken the back of an entire bomber formation. The sky is finally truly empty. Ernst levels the wings and pulls Lady in the Dark into a wide, climbing turn, circling the spot where the last bomber went down. There is nothing to see. The adrenaline begins to fade, replaced by a profound, bone-deep weariness. The stench of cordite hangs heavy in the air. Below them, the Pacific has swallowed all evidence of the battle, as if it never happened. "Ed, you see anything else?" Ernst asks, his voice hoarse. "No, Herm," Kopsel replies, the exhaustion clear in his voice. "The scope is clean. They're all gone." They turn for home, back toward Yantan Airfield. As they fly, the reality of what they accomplished begins to sink in. They didn't just shoot down 4 planes, they created a legend. The few Japanese crews who survived that night's raids would return to their bases with a terrifying story. Not of a battle, but of a haunting. They would speak of a force in the dark, a phantom that struck without sound or warning, causing planes to simply vanish from the sky. They were convinced they had been ambushed by a full squadron. They would call it a ghost. The name would stick, a testament to the night a single P-61 Black Widow taught the enemy that, for them, the darkness was no longer a shield. It was a tomb.